really special to do once, but to do it twice feels really great. I have such a wonderful group of young women, and I hope that everybody gets the chance to meet them and get to know them, because they're unbelievable young women who just happen to play basketball, and very blessed to be at a great school that supports their basketball program so much, like the University of Iowa.
Thanks, Coach. First question will be from Scott Docterman.
Hi, Lisa. Congratulations. I hope you're doing well today. I wanted to ask you about kind of the Teflon that your players have played with all year. I mean, the pressure for a calendar year has been intense on you one way or the other, yet last night could have been, like many others in the school's history, of kind of falling short, but instead they pushed through even when the times got tough. What is it about this team that enables them that when times get tough, when the pressure is the most intense, that they rise to the occasion and push through and win?
I think it's maturity, quite honestly. They've been there before. They've done it before. They know what it's like. And once you know what it's like and what it requires, it's a little bit easier to follow that same recipe again. But, we have been in some tough situations, and the leadership of Kate Martin and Caitlin and Gabby has just been extraordinary. So I really credit those guys for that. But, honestly, I think that it would be unusual for us to not have the situation where the atmosphere is just crazy. I mean, that's what we're used to playing in. And so that's I think it would be unusual for us not to have that kind of craziness around one of our games.
Thanks for the question, Scott. Next, we'll go to Fago Franklin from New Stitched Media.
How you doing, Coach? What does it mean to you to see Gabby Marshall evolving each and every game, and what makes her such a special player?
Well, Gabby Marshall, first of all, is our player that we put on the best perimeter defensive player every single game. Last night, she plays 40 minutes for us. She's a trooper. She'll go do whatever we ask her to do. We tell her to go over screens, under screens, choke off this person. I mean, it doesn't matter. She remembers her scout. She remembers her personnel, and she gets the job done that way. And obviously, everybody likes the points and things. Don't leave her open, because she's a sniper out there too. She just didn't get many opportunities last night. She was 1 for 3, but that's 50% at adjusted field goal percentage. I'll take that any day.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks for the question. Next, we'll go to Tim Bialek.
Coach, congratulations on making it to the Final Four. Kind of going back to Scott's question maybe a little bit, your team has dealt with, unprecedented hype for this season, considering the run you've had. How much do you feel like in some ways that's prepared you to get to, coming to this Final Four in Cleveland, which, may be considered the most hyped, most anticipated women's Final Four ever?
I think it has done wonders for us to prepare for this opportunity. And it goes back to, at the end of last year, playing in the championship game, to starting this year with our crossover in Kinnick and the football stadium having 56,000 people come out to watch us play. And it's been every single situation, whether we're home or away. And I think being in these type of situations and, kind of having a lot of media around us all year long is going to bode well for us at the Final Four, where it just even intensifies a little bit more.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim. Go to the next question from Jeff Linder.
Hey, Coach. Thanks for your time. Congratulations. Just a couple things. First of all, you were 0-3 against Kim Mulkey before last night in postseason play. Is there any validation, with that win? And also, you got a little bit of heat last summer for not doing the transfer portal thing. Does this kind of prove that your roster, as is, was still pretty elite?
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Well, first of all, we were 0-3 against Coach Mulkey. She's had tremendous teams, obviously, over the years. Unbelievable, Hall of Fame coach. And so it feels good, not that we beat her, but we've got to go to the Final Four, and we beat a really good LSU team. Again, I have so much respect for Kim and what she has accomplished over her unbelievable career. But the transfer portal, there's a lot of people in transfer portal. And last year we were looking for specific things in the transfer portal, and we didn't find what we were looking for. And you have to be special to play at the University of Iowa. It's not just a basketball factory. We don't take just the best basketball players. We take the best basketball players that fit our culture. And we don't want to bring somebody in that wouldn't fit our culture. And so again, our numbers were very few because we were only looking at very specific positions. And we wanted to make sure if we brought somebody in, it was going to be somebody that was going to be an impact player, not just a role player, but an impact player right away. So again, those numbers were kind of limited. It does give us a little bit of feeling of satisfaction that, yeah, we had just enough. We had enough with what we had. And that, that's gratifying.
Thank you.
Jeff, thanks for the questions. Next, go to Howard Megdal from the Next.
Lisa, good morning and congratulations again. A question for you. The first moment after that buzzer sounds, you turn and hug Jan Jensen, who's obviously been with you for such a long time on your staff. Can you just kind of take me through what it means to have this breakthrough with Jan, and just generally speaking, what your conversations with her were like around this moment?
Yeah, we've had a lot of good conversations since then. But yeah, Jan, and Jenny Fitzgerald are the two that I sit by in the bench. I have so much trust. I have trust in all my staff. I have the best staff. There is no doubt. I mean, they have scouts ready. They work hard. They're organized. They're loyal. They know the game so well. So I am blessed with an amazing staff. Jan happened to be the first one I saw when I turned around, probably because she sits next to me. But yeah, it's special to share that moment with her, just because we've been through a lot of years together. Jenny Fitzgerald came over at the same time as Jan Jensen from Drake with me. So those two, they're everything to me, really. But yeah, I have a custom that after every game, I shake every one of my assistants' hands, because I'm so proud of them and I want to acknowledge the work that they've done. And last night it went from handshakes to hugs real quick.
Do you think it says something about the way you operate in this program that you have these assistants who are with you for such a long time?
I hope so. For one thing, they are my best friends, and it's always easier to go through good times and bad times when you have people that you really care with you. I think, Iowa, at the University of Iowa, it's a great place to be. We don't have a lot of turnover of any coaches at the University of Iowa. When you look at the longevity of all of our head coaches, it's pretty amazing. It's a great place. It's a great place to be a coach of women's basketball when it is supported so well from the administration to the community to the state, all across the board. And, hopefully I give my assistants, the ability to do their jobs without looking over their shoulders. I don't want to be a micromanager. I let them have a lot of freedom, and I think they enjoy that they know they are fully involved in every win, and that they can fully feel great about taking credit for that.
Thanks, Lisa. See you in Cleveland.
Thanks, Howard. Next question from Kyle Weisman. Kyle, go ahead.
Sorry, first off, congratulations, Lisa, on making it to back-to-back Final Fours. Not many teams are able to do that. My question, I'm curious if, we've talked about all the experiences you guys have had this year, whether it's big crowds, playing different teams, all those things. Is there anything specific from making the Final Four last year that from that experience that you feel like will be really important to draw upon this week?
Yes, I do. I think really managing outside, there's so much that goes on at a Final Four as far as media obligations, celebrations, open practices. It's hard to almost, try to do all of that in your job as far as having your team prepared. I think we wore ourselves out last year trying to be all things to all people and do everything. And so I think we're going to be a little more selective this year on what we do and how long we're at events. We certainly want to be at all of Caitlin's awards, but maybe, this year we're not going to have the whole team at every single one of them just because it got to be a lot. And I need them to really lock in and rest. I think at this time of year, recovery is so important.
Thanks, Kyle. Next question will be Tom Withers from Associated Press.
Thank you, Lisa. Tom Withers, AP in Cleveland, and also a longtime assistant coach, so it was nice to hear those words. Hey, it feels like you guys just went through a Final Four to get to the Final Four. I know the job's not done yet, but is there a sense of the pressure's off a little bit, Lisa? Has it been lessened a little bit by getting here?
I mean, it just feels great. I mean, it's I don't know if it's less pressure. It just feels darn good to be in a Final Four again because it's such a hard accomplishment, to go through the whole year and avoid injuries. And we have had an injury to one of our starters, and I'm hoping that she'll be back for next weekend. We'll see. But to manage all that and, to go through a season and have enough success that you get a number one seed. That's really hard to do. And that's the first time, that we've done that. Then, you go through hosting those two games and then coming here, everybody you play is just so good and you're going against unbelievable coaches. I kind of went off on a tangent there and forgot what your actual question was. I'm sorry.
Just the pressure being off a little bit. That's okay.
Honestly, people thought we had a lot of pressure coming in. People kept telling me, "Oh, this is going to be so hard. Your season's going to be so hard." And I kept saying, "Why are we focusing on the hard? Why are we doing that?" And Billie Jean King is one of my idols, and obviously, she has a book that's Pressure is a Privilege, and I've used that book this year. And she wrote that on a piece of paper. It's framed in our locker room for me. So we believe that pressure is a really good thing because that means you've done some pretty special things to have pressure on you.
And now you've had a little bit of time to kind of digest what Caitlin was able to do last night. Given the scene, given the stage, what was on the line, what more can you say about what she was able to deliver?
Again, when the stage is the brightest, when the spotlight is the brightest, she's at her very best. She loves this. Some people wither in the moment. She just gets stronger in the moment. When it's her time, she's going to just shine. And, her distant threes last night were spectacular. We asked her to try to get to the rim in the first quarter, and I thought she did. She did a great job of that. We wanted to get some high percentage easy ones to begin with, and she did. But in the third quarter, when she took that distant three and she nailed it to get us going, I knew then we were in good shape. But again, I never want to talk about her without talking about her passing. Absolutely unbelievable. 12 assists last night. Her passing is extraordinary, as well as her distance shooting.
Just curious, at one point she's in the front court with Angel and you're kind of running down the sideline. Were you telling her to pull it out or were you yelling trailer?
I'm trying to remember that situation. I'm not sure that I remember that exact situation right now.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Tom. Next question from KCRG TV9.
Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Couple questions. I'm assuming you were referring to Molly Davis, hoping she'd be back for this weekend.
Yeah, that's who I'm referring to. I really don't have any idea. I know she wasn't able to go last night. She hasn't been into a practice since this, situation happened to her. But I just hope for her sake that she can get into a game again. I don't know how effective she's going to be, but I just want her to have the right to be in an NCAA tournament game for her fifth and final year.
All right, perfect. And then I guess turning to UConn, what's going to be the key to slowing down Paige Beckers and then obviously trying to move on to the championship game?
I have no idea. I haven't looked at UConn. I haven't looked at our scout yet. I have given myself about 20 hours that I'm going to enjoy this one. When I get on that plane in about an hour, I'll start working on UConn, but not until then.
Gotcha. And then I guess one more question. Is there any extra motivation facing UConn, not to bring up the tournaments of past, but after that loss in 2021? And then is there any extra motivation for Caitlin? I think if I remember correctly, she and Paige Beckers were part of the same recruiting class. Obviously, Paige got a lot of national attention. I don't recall Caitlin getting as much. Is there any extra motivation for her to get the best of Paige Beckers?
You know, Paige is playing really well, and she's a great player. She was the National Player of the Year coming out of high school. Just a tremendous, tremendous player. But we try not to make it be situations where it's this person versus this person or this team versus this team. We just really try to focus on Iowa. And, you know, that's what we want to focus on. We don't want to focus on rivalries or paybacks or anything like that. That's just not us.
Okay. Thank you, Coach.
All right, next question. We'll go to Mark Ackerman.
Coach, so I'm at Channel 5 in Cleveland, and we're very excited to have you guys come. What should Cleveland expect hosting the Final Four?
Well, you've done it before. I've been there for a Final Four. This time I get to play a game versus, I think I was interviewing assistant coaches or something at that point. I did go to a really nice Italian restaurant, though, when I was there. And, of course, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But I think Cleveland should expect some unbelievable basketball. And the fans that are going to be there, these are passionate fans. These are fans that know basketball. They are going to come ready to have a great time in Cleveland, and they're going to be cheering their hearts out. So I think it's going to be a great, great stop in Cleveland.
Well, you mentioned that you're going to be more selective at events, and will there be any interaction with the community for stars like Caitlin?
I doubt it. I doubt that there'll be anything in the community with her.
Okay. And then final, what does last night mean for women's basketball as a whole?
Well, you got 4 great programs coming to the Final Four. I think there was a lot of attention on both games last night, but certainly there was a lot of attention on our game just because it was a rematch of the national championship last year. Again, we didn't look at it like that. But a lot of people outside of our program did. And so I'm sure the viewership was high, and I think everybody that was here in the arena seemed to have a really good time and enjoy the game. And, anytime that we have the chance to elevate women's basketball and to showcase just how great our game is, we're going to take full advantage of that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Next question will go to Claire Philippi from NBC Sports Chicago.
Hi, Lisa. Congratulations, and thank you so much for your time. Obviously, Caitlin Clark has been a really big story during the tournament, but Sydney Falter's performances have really caught my attention. Can you kind of please explain just how impressed you've been with her adjustments back into the starting lineup and how she has kind of allowed your game plans to tweak and be altered?
Sydney has handled everything like a professional all year long. Started a couple games at the beginning of the year, and it wasn't any reason why she came out of the starting lineup. We knew she was a great player, and I told her mid-year, you're 6th player in our league. You're the best 6th player because you would be starting on most other teams. And then obviously when Molly Davis went down, it put her right into that position, and she just handled it beautifully. It was just effortless, her moving into the starting lineup, because she played so many minutes with us up to that point. And, in practice, we had her in with the starting group a lot of times. So it really wasn't as hard as what you would think. It does obviously hurt our depth, though, because you had a weapon like Sydney coming off the bench. That was pretty nice. But in the starting lineup, Sydney brings toughness. She brings versatility. She brings somebody that's going to dive on the ball, on the floor for loose balls, going to rebound, going to be physical on the defensive side of things. She's kind of that do-it-all player. She's a very blue-collar player, and just a great, great young lady.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Claire. Next question will go back to Scott Docterman.
Lisa, I wanted to take you back 3 years ago where you're in San Antonio. You were in a bubble. The weight room was about the size of what most hotel rooms would be, or hotels would have for their patrons. And here 3 years later, there's seats are going for $5,000 or whatever they are for the Final Four. What can you explain, I guess, about the rise of the sport in the last 3 years? And it's kind of organic in most ways. And where can this go trajectory-wise? What are we going to look at in 5 years for women's basketball?
Yeah, I feel like, it's so crazy when you think that, Caitlin's first year, she played in front of a bunch of cardboard cutouts, one being her dog, Bella. But, to now, every arena that we go to is sold out, and, SeatGeek and all those things are making a lot of money off of Iowa women's basketball. But I think the rise has happened largely due to we're getting more media coverage. I mean, when nobody knows about you, it's hard to get fan support. It's hard to get enthusiasm behind your program. But because we are on national television now, because we are in the spotlight more as a sport, as women's basketball, people are talking about it. People are recognizing how good of a game it is. And people get to know these stars. It's not like, in the men's game, they're there for 1 year and then they leave, the best players. In the women's game, they're staying for 4 years. And I think that's really good for them because they can really develop their brand. But it's also good for our sport because the best players are still around as seniors and not playing in the league right away. I think that the trajectory of women's basketball is going to keep going. There's so many bright stars in this game, and we saw one last night. I mean, in Johnson, I mean, she's unbelievable. But there's great freshmen in the country that are going to keep growing this sport, and now they have a platform. Social media. There's a lot of bad things about social media, but there's a lot of good things as far as the support that they can build for themselves, their brands that they can build for themselves, and also just the life that social media can take, good or bad. But it's really helped spread the word.
As a follow-up, how does NIL maybe play into that? We've seen Caitlin's countless commercials, but also many of your players have their own deals, and then around the country we've seen the same thing. Is that maybe early, maybe you were a little hesitant on it and now fully embracing it, and maybe has that helped promote the sport in a way that we couldn't have thought of a few years ago?
I've always believed in NIL. It's collectives. I didn't know about that. That to me was, I don't know, and I still don't know about it. But NIL, being able to use your own name to have your own basketball camp or do a commercial or whatever it is you want to do, why not have that opportunity? Our players have learned so many great, valuable lessons, business-wise, marketing-wise, PR-wise. It's been a class in itself, what these young athletes have learned at an early age about financial management and about business. You can't learn all that in a classroom. And so the experiences they've gained have been tremendous. And you're right, all of our players have some sort of NIL opportunity. But I think that when, people see Caitlin in national commercials, that adds to that star power, right? I mean, it's more credibility, it's more visibility, and it just continues to add to, the lure of a great basketball player.
Thanks for the question. We've got our final two questions in the hopper. Next, we'll go to Jason Rood from KCZE.
Hey there, Coach. How you doing? After the game last week against West Virginia, you kind of talked about Hannah Stuelke and wanted to see a little more offensive aggressiveness. Can you speak on how she responded this week?
Yeah, I thought that in the Colorado game, I thought her rebounding was great. Her defense was very good. Last night, that was a tough assignment for her. Angel Reese, she's a pro. She's a great player. She's got seniority on Hannah. She's got height and, probably strength. I don't know. But she didn't back down to her. And I think that's a growth moment for Hannah. Hannah's still young, right? She didn't play that many minutes for us last year. So she's, just really ending her first year of being a starter for us. I think she's tremendously talented, but she's also still a little bit green around the ears. I mean, she's still a little bit young, and I think she stepped up to that challenge last night really, really well. I'm proud of her.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks. And we go to our final question this morning from Claire Philippi.
Hi again, Lisa. I'd like to kind of go back to the question about social media and kind of the growth of the game. How have you as a coach kind of helped your athletes navigate this new water of social media, and with how big the game has gotten over the past like 3 or 4 years? How have you kind of helped your athletes navigate those waters? Because obviously it's very different than what it used to be, especially with social media now and how big everything has gotten.
Yeah, Claire, you have that question backwards. It's what have they taught me about it? Because I'm not teaching them anything about social media. I rarely get on social media. What I've done, since the NCAA tournament has started, is caution them, let's not be on social media. Maybe you're going to post, but please don't read. And they've done a really good job with it. I'm a big believer in, and I tell them this on day one. This isn't for the NCAA tournament. On day one, you'll look at social media and you'll look at there'll be 100 things written about you, and 99 of them are going to be great, and one of them is bad, and you are going to walk away remembering that one bad one. So don't read any of them. And I hope they listen to me. I don't know if they do for sure, but I know that they have kind of made a pact to stay off of it during the NCAA tournament.
Thank you so much.
Coach Bluder, thanks so much for being with us today. We do appreciate it, taking the time, and safe travels to Cleveland. Look forward to seeing you here.
Thanks, Rick. Bye-bye.
Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody, for joining us today. Again, reminder, transcripts will be available at ASAP Transcripts following this call today. They'll be probably up here in the next 5 minutes or so. But thanks again, and we'll talk soon.